is the point of a foldable phone? Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I was looking up a comment recently on one of my YouTube videos, and it was talking about what is the point of a foldable phone. And I thought that was a really interesting question, not because it's so vague, but I think there is a lot of misinformation, and I think a lot of people don't really understand what foldable phones are capable of doing, and also why people are buying foldable phones. Like, that's a general and a good question to ask. What is the point of buying a foldable phone when you can just buy a phone that has a normal LED screen and has better specs than it? So I want to talk about that in this video because I think it's a valid question, and let's address it. So buying a foldable phone is not something that you need. I don't think it's something that every consumer is going to need, and I don't think it is one of those products that is going to reach a very large mass market within the next year or two. I think foldable phones are something that is for a specific type of consumer, and when I say that, is for a consumer who watches a lot of video content, loves to multitask, and wants an innovative device. I think that those three things at the end of the day are what people really like about foldable devices, and that was a big selling point for me, right? So if you view me as a consumer, right, I'm in my 20s. I love watching video content, love recording video. I love multitasking, being able to use somewhat of a desktop on my phone, and also just have larger hands. And I wanted a device where I would be able to really use both of my fingers while I'm typing. Sometimes it's hard just to use one finger, that whole thing. So I was in the market, decided, I'm going to look up for foldable phones, and it was the coolest thing that I had ever experienced was a foldable device. Like, that is so cool. And I think the reason why I think people really love these devices is they're just so unique. And it's so cool that you're able to open up your device at any moment and have like a tablet-esque display. It's an incredible thing that I wish we could have had in the past, but obviously I'm super happy that we have it now. Now, in terms of video content, if you go from watching a typical YouTube video that is on around this size, obviously there's a thinner display in terms of width, but if you go from typically watching a YouTube video at this size to then watching a YouTube video that is this large, I mean, it changes your entire viewing experience, especially if you're someone who wants to play video games. You have a very large display that is right here. If you love reading books, you have a much larger display. If you want to view desktop sites, you have a much larger display. If you like using GPS, you're able to have a much larger display. So obviously having a bigger display is beneficial in a lot of ways, but the issue with, having something this size with something like a tablet is you're not able to fit this into your pocket. And because you're able to fold it, that changes the entire dynamic of having that bigger display, which is really beneficial. And that's a large part of why people want foldable devices, is because of that feature. And it's unlike anything that you've ever used before. That's something that I would definitely use to describe foldable devices. It's something that you have never used before. I tell people time and time again in these videos, don't trust what people say. When it comes to negative comments about these devices, you need to go to the store, try it out, see how you feel about the device, and if you don't like it, don't purchase it, but at least you will be able to actually say, I tried this for myself and I didn't like it. I see so many videos about people who talk about foldable devices and how bad they don't like them, but I guarantee you they've never actually used them, they've never tried it. Now, granted, if someone actually did and they say I don't like it, that's fine, share your opinion. But I think you guys as consumers, it's really important to actually go out, try these things before you make these comments. Now, with a foldable device, I think another benefit of having it is just the optimism when it comes to what will come in the future. So the fact that we already have something that is this good in a device, I mean, I'm even talking about the Pixel, I'm talking about the Z Fold 5, I'm talking about the new OnePlus device that's a foldable. The fact that we're already here in terms of these devices is incredible, and I'm so optimistic about the future of foldables, and I want to just continue having them. And I really hope, as much as I am not always the biggest Apple fan, I would love to see Apple come out with a foldable phone. I think it would be really interesting to see how the market kind of goes when it comes to foldables, and I think it would be something that would be unlike any other device that honestly we probably have ever had. So another question that I noticed, I feel like I'm talking about all different things, is, do you have an issue with this front screen? When it comes to foldables, the Z Fold 5 is always the one that people go after as saying it's not a good device. And the reason why they say that is because of this front screen. So I have my hands here, right? And this typically is a more, not as wide of a screen. There's a few reasons why Samsung decided to do this. Was they felt that if you were to widen the screen, you would then have a smaller display in terms of the height, right? Because obviously it would affect the amount of that diagonal length that you would get. Now, what do I think of it? I really like it. I think when I originally watched reviews, this was always the biggest point of why people just decided not to purchase this device. It had nothing to do with the specs, nothing to do with the cameras. It always had to do with the front display and people thinking that this was not enough to be able to type, do that whole thing. I remember going to the Verizon store and trying this out and being like, this is very easy to type. I constantly use 2 fingers to type on it. It's very, very easy, very responsive. I don't have any issues when it comes to typing. And if I do want to type, again, this is a benefit, is that you're able to open up and type on your phone and have an incredibly large display. If I want to type like this, I can do that, almost like it's a laptop per se. So I never have issues with it. And sometimes, I'm not even lying to you, I prefer to just watch videos the normal way of like horizontal viewing. And it's so cool to have that option. Who can say that they have 3, or I guess you could say 3 screens, but like 2 different screens on one device? You can't say that with any other devices. And I think the CEO of Samsung came out with a comment talking about why he feels that this is the perfect shape. And I think he's right. I think you get a much longer display, which is great, similar to the Z Flip 5, which that actually has a much longer vertical display. But it's nice. I just really like it. I think it's a really beautiful display. Yes, I do think it could be brighter. I don't think it compares to something along the lines of the Google Pixel 8 Pro that has an insanely bright camera, and I do think the iPhone 15 Pro Max does have a better display in terms of this. And yes, I do think the S23 Ultra has a better display than this. That's fine. But again, when you are looking at a device, you're not going to notice those bigger differences of it. And I just really like the front display. Like, everything works really, really well. So I appreciate that person asking that comment, because I think that's a valid point. Now, the next thing that everyone, if you're an Android person, I'm sure you've had this thought, or you've seen someone who's had this opinion before, but people always say, why would you choose a phone that is $1,700 versus something like the Google Pixel 8 Pro or the S23 Ultra, or waiting for the S24 Ultra? And guys, I will answer this again and again. It is honestly up to you, okay? What I would prefer in a phone is very different from what you would prefer in a phone. If I prefer to have a bigger display, that's my preference. That's something that me as a consumer, right? That's a really important thing to think about, is you as a consumer. What do you like in terms of that? So I prefer having a bigger display. That's something that I really, I use most often. And I prefer that. But if you're someone who prefers a really bright screen, maybe the Google Pixel 8 Pro is the device for you, or maybe shooting video content on your phone is a big aspect to you. taking photos is something that you do more often than anything else, or maybe social media, having the likes of Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be. There's devices that all have special traits that benefit certain types of experiences. There's no one device that I feel like breaches all of those different benchmarks. Like, there's none. There's no device that does that. I think it all comes down to your own preference, and that's a good question to ask. Why would you pay that much more, right? Again, I think there's certain things that outweigh different things. I think if you have enough money and you want to try out a foldable device, go for it. I definitely don't think that it's one of these devices that is not going to be worth your money. I think when I see comments that say that, I don't agree with that whatsoever. But yes, it's a pricey device. Again, I've mentioned this in videos before, but the only reason why I was able to get this device is because of the fact that I had phones that I was able to trade in and to do that with, and I'm really grateful for those trade-ins, and that's why I'm able to. Now, if I didn't have the funds for that, yeah, I probably would get the S23 Ultra. I personally think that is like the best device that is not a foldable. I would never go with iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I would never go with the Google Pixel 8 Pro. I think the Ultra currently is still the best device that's on the market, and I had that phone previously before I got the foldable phone. Big thing that happened with T-Mobile. I have previous videos talking about it, but it's an incredible device. I just am now a big Samsung fan. I was really into Apple for a very long time, and the prices for Apple are arguably going up even more. I mean, I don't know the current price of what the Pro Max is going for, but I know it's well over $1,000. So it's not like something is an incredibly big difference. Now, I do think the Z Fold 5 could have been cheaper than what it actually is. I think I understand why they tried to reach that type of price, because I think they're trying to set kind of a message that this is more of a premium device to own. But at the same time, I do think this could have been a few $100s cheaper, and maybe reached a bigger audience for people that are able to afford that, to finance it. I don't think most people are paying upfront in terms of cash for this phone. If they are, you got a lot of money, so that's pretty cool. Another question that people ask all the time is, are these cameras really good? How do they compete with other cameras that are on the market? I think these are really great cameras. Something that I will say about Samsung when it comes to video is, I think often a lot of the video quality is typically oversaturated. That's just something that I feel like iPhones and the Pixel 8 Pro are more true to the actual color. But Apple does this thing where when you try to enhance a photo or video, it ends up making it feel like it's not realistic. So if I had to say the best video camera, I'd probably say the Google Pixel 8 Pro. But when it comes to photos, this is an incredible device. I mean, it has three different cameras that are right there, so you're able to see like pretty much everything crystal clear quality. You can shoot up to 4K, or actually I think you can shoot 8K. If I open up the video tab, let's see what I'm able to shoot up to, which is 8K 30 is what I'm able to shoot up to. I've never shot an 8K before. I don't know if I would ever have a reason to shoot an 8K, but again, that's a really interesting feature. But again, 4K 30, you can also do 4K 60, which is awesome, full HD, so 1080p 60 HD video. So you have so many different options, and you can obviously even change the ratio of how you're filming. And again, another benefit of having a device that's foldable is if you want to see yourself while you're recording, you can click a button that's right at the top. So let me come right here. We're going to click this right here. Give me 1 second, guys. So we're going to click this, hit this feature, and I think I am, 1 second. Of course, I'm making a mistake while I'm doing it, but there is a feature where you're able to see yourself on the other side while you're recording, which is a huge benefit and was a big factor for me, because originally I was only making YouTube videos using my device. I was using the Z Fold 5, and a lot of that quality was really, really good. Like, I do miss recording videos on my phone, but obviously there's issues when it comes to uploading to YouTube, that whole thing. So I think to wrap this video up, I don't want to end things on a negative note, but again, there are things that I think this device could really improve from. And if you've made it this far to the video, I think you should listen to this. So I think there's a few things that the Z Fold 5 is lacking, and I hope that foldable phones address these things like for the future. So first of all, I really think this device should have had a stylus. First of all, I think that was the wrong choice for not including an S Pen, specifically for the price of what this device goes for. Number two, I do think that with a device like this, I think you should include a much higher memory. I think at this point for phones, I don't think any phone should not have less than 1 terabyte. I think every phone should have 1 terabyte of memory. I think that's wrong, that we're still in this weird realm of not having enough memory for devices. I do think this should have had 16 gigabyte or 12 gigabytes of RAM, or maybe 16. I don't know what current phones are at right now, but I think that should have been, something with the foldable device. And then lastly, I think with a device like this, I think what would really be beneficial for me personally is just having better speakers. I think this phone has great speakers. I'm not saying they're bad in any way, but I do think the speakers could have been way better for a video like this, or for a phone like this. I think iPhones have incredible speakers. Again, that's something I think iPhone does really, really well. They have great speakers, but I think this definitely could have had better speakers. But then again, I understand this is still, a phone that is in the works. Yes, there have been a lot of generations of this, but I do think that it could have had better speakers. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video talking about the Z Fold 5, addressing a lot of the comments and questions that people have, and I always want to answer with honesty for all these tech videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.